AC, what's it like to bring those guys back from the trip? And they all had such great opportunity and experience, and kind of what's it like getting back together with them?
Yeah, it's great to see him again. Obviously, us staying back, a handful of guys staying back and going against PD staff isn't as much fun as having the camaraderie of playing against your teammates in camp. So it was nice to have them back and have some live runs today. Happy for the guys that we might have a limited opportunity if all of us did play all the games, because that's coming from a position like that where I didn't play at all my first preseason as an E10, and then played sparingly on my two-way preseasons. It's cool to see, and it's just good for them just to get their feet wet and kind of figure out where they stand, what they need to get better at, get experience.
You mentioned last year, at the end, at some point in the playoffs, how you were managed and how you couldn't go as hard as you once could. How did that experience? How's that leading to how you're going to try and manage yourself this year?
I thought it was pretty beneficial last year. Obviously, some of the time off last year, early in the year, was not chosen by us. It was just I had some soft tissue stuff that we were really cautious with. So I think I finished somewhere around 50-ish, low 50s in games. So somewhere, I think that's probably around the right idea. I don't think there's anything where we're going in thinking, all right, 58 games is the number or 65 is the number. I think it just kind of goes on how I feel and how the team's going and what they need of me. And during different times last year, it presented itself in different ways. So I kind of stepped in from playing center to being out hurt. But in the end, I think it benefited me and the team because towards the end of the season, the playoffs, when it matters, I was ready to go.
AC, as a defensive-minded guy, what have been your impressions of Brooks so far in training camp?
It's been good. His willingness to learn is great. That's kind of the biggest thing you look for with the young guys is, are they, humble enough to understand that they need to learn and they need to get better. And I think he has that understanding of wanting to be a sponge and soak stuff up as far as knowledge of the game. At this point, it's just about getting reps. It's about the timing. It's, you've seen that through the couple preseason games. He's had some really good plays and then some plays where, he's maybe a step slow, and that's to be expected. Honestly, that's to be expected for most people in preseason, just getting the rhythm of playing real games back. But it's encouraging. He does all the things right that you want out of a teammate as far as, playing hard, playing for the team, trying to get better.
As a former E10, position some of these guys are in, just what has been your impression of Chris Youngblood so far and how he's acclimated?
Yeah, Chris Siwa has done a great job of being true to himself. Obviously, a tremendous shooter. He's locked and loaded every time the ball comes his way, and that carries value and carries a threat in a positive way for the team in the game of basketball nowadays. So for him to have that awareness is really good. And then I think he's doing a tremendous job as well of just being a great teammate. I think every day he comes in with a smile on his face and he's working hard and trying to push himself into more drills and more drills. And, he's a joy to be around. He's a good teammate. And so it makes it fun to show up and go to work each day.
You've spoken before about sort of the amnesia that you need to have to be a great defender. Where does that sort of come from and how's that develop for you? Because I can't imagine it's not tough to play perfect defense once you have made a shot.
Yeah, I mean, some of that is just, learning through the fire of it. Some of that is understanding the game of basketball and that, sometimes it's just a percentage game. And the guy might be taking a 30%, 35% shot, but it goes in. It's like over time you have to trust and believe that that's going to, be in your favor. And then part of that is, I've spoken to it before, is just being super competitive. You got to want to win each possession. And a little bit of arrogance as far as they're going to be arrogant when thinking if they miss a shot, you didn't play good defense, they just missed a shot. So you have to be equally arrogant and be like, they're missing because I'm making them miss. So just having that, that bit of ego on the defensive end that you're going to get a stop and you're the reason that, they're missing shots, I think plays into it as well.
The defense didn't become what it was last year, just, the second that you walked onto the floor to start the season. What did you learn from kind of the season-long build last year that you guys are trying to replicate this year and kind of make sure you're working towards again this year?
Yeah, I think not taking steps backwards, being great at the things that we're great at, and then working on things that we need to improve. It's human nature to kind of rest and relax when you do a good job and you have some type of success. And I think for us to fight that, especially defensively, because it's easy to fall into that trap in the NBA through so many games in the year. It's like, all right, we'll just see who makes more shots tonight. Like we believe we're better than them offensively. But that kind of leaves it to chance. And a big thing for us is controlling the game and controlling the outcome. And a big way that you can do that is guarding the ball. And we are really good at that when we're locked in. So just making sure that, we hold ourselves to the standard that we need to play at.
Do you look at the 4 playoff series in terms of, maybe a guide to something that you all do want to do better? Or do you need to, is it more individual matchup on a night-to-night basis? Or is there something you can glean from those 4 playoff series? It's like, hey, here's a step forward we can take defensively.
I think it's a mix of both, because I think the things in the playoffs that, we needed to do well are like the basic things, Memphis was a little bit of a spurt because we kind of got after and had fresh legs, but like Denver, it was close out, not fouling, getting back in transition. Like those are things that you talk about at the beginning of the season. Like Denver, it's about finishing possessions with box outs and then taking care of the ball in offense and keeping them out of transition. Like basic things that you talk about at any level of basketball, let alone the NBA. So there's specific things in series that you can do, but like you don't really work on that during the year. Those are things that are like, they're curveballs and changeups that you throw where, fastballs are the basics, the closeouts, the winning closeouts, the not giving up second chance points, getting back in transition, which I think are the things that we excelled at so much in the regular season last year and set a great base for us going into the postseason.
Is that true of the offensive end as well? You're kind of describing like, it's the fundamental things. Is you feel that way offensively as you look back at the 4 series as well?
Yeah, I've said this, I'm not sure if I've said this publicly on like a podcast or anything recently, but like great basketball is great basketball. Like at any level, winning basketball is winning basketball. So like whatever that looks like in high school, in college, in the G League, in the NBA, overseas, like things that win basketball games are the same universally. It's being a good passing team, being unselfish, running in transition, setting good screens, rebounding well, not fouling, winning close. Like all those things, like I think that's why us in Indiana were in the finals, is because we did the majority of those things at an exceptional level. Whereas other teams, aren't good in certain areas and they try to cover it up, and eventually you get weeds out because it's a 7-game series and you can't fluke your way, to winning a series. You have to win 4 games. So I think, you're just talking about specifically offense, but like it's a universal game, like, moving the ball when someone's open, not over driving, being aggressive when you have the ball, being unselfish, like all those things offensively, are the things that we have to be great at. And we got great players, like that part will take care of itself.
You're the only one on our roster that has experience going into a season trying to defend a championship. How much of those past experience are you going to try and bring into this season, to some things that didn't go right last time that you're going to try and make sure go right this time?
Yeah, some of the things I will convey to the team just about how it's different, being the hunted, versus being the hunter, which, I think our mindset is still the hunter. Like I think we still are going to be the team that goes after other people rather than, sitting on the back foot and letting teams try to attack us. But this team's a little different than the LA team, because the LA team, I think we only had 3 or 5 players returning from that team, So this team, we have basically the entire roster coming back. So that'll be a little different, but I think the team being so youthful still and having that, guys have different benchmarks in their career that they're trying to meet, whether it's stats or awards or contracts. And they're still chasing those things, which I think kind of helps distract you through the regular season just to try and get to the postseason. But definitely just, I think, we saw it a little bit last year in the beginning too. Like when we played at Brooklyn, they shot like 60% from 3 in the first half, and they were like the worst 3-point shooting team in the league at the time. Like that, you just have to expect the unexpected, because when you have the crown, people want it, and that's just the reality of it. So like like I said, going to the hunted from other teams, but staying the hunter in your mindset, I think is the biggest thing.
You mentioned the 5 returning guys on that Lakers team.
Mhm.
Everybody, people returning on this team. A lot of the guys on that Lakers team mentioned how they didn't really feel like they had a chance to go back to back because it's only 5 guys. Is that in the back of your head at all, going back to back or having a legit chance to go back to work?
Yeah, I mean, every year I play in the league, I think I can win the championship. Whether that's true or not is kind of up for debate, from the outside world. But I mean, that's our goal. I mean, that would be a lie if we said no. We're just going to show up and try and have a good year, and like we'll see. Like obviously, we want to win the championship again, but there's a lot that goes into that. There's the storyline of the NBA from last season was so crazy during the year. Like Luke ended up in LA, Jimmy went to the Warriors. There was some big injuries in the East that happened. Like it's unpredictable every year. So to say we're going to, or like obviously we want to win. Like that's why we play the game. That's why we're here. That's why we're having practice and getting ready for the regular season. But there's a lot that goes into that, man. And humbly, I have to say, being on the opposite side of and losing more than I've won, obviously in my career, it's really hard. Like it's not easy. So I'm not going to take that for granted. But yeah, obviously we want to go out there and win again.
Shea mentioned how one's not enough. He doesn't play the game till just win one championship. How much of that have you seen from him to where he's still hungry after getting one? There's a lot of some players, not a lot, but some players get one, and that's good enough for them. But he doesn't seem like one is good enough. One MVP is not good enough for him. All the numbers aren't good enough for him. How much of that have you seen from him, and is he impressing that on you guys?
Yeah, I mean, greatness doesn't rest. Like that's what I've seen from the guys in the league that are Hall of Famers, that are ascending Hall of Famers. Like greatness has a skill set. Greatness has a work ethic. Greatness has a mindset. And Shea comes in every day like he's trying to make the team. Like he is the most competitive guy on our team, day in, day out. Like there'll be days in the middle of the season we'll have practice and like everyone's kind of like, lagging through practice, and then he gets one play and he's like yelling and like asking people to like guard him harder. Like he's figured it out up here, and like obviously you mix that work ethic and that competitiveness with the skill set and the athleticism he has, and it's no surprise that he's, like I said, ascending to winning awards and having success in the league. I've seen it with, countless other guys that I've been around that are all going to have jackets on at the end of their career. And it's really fun to be his teammate and get to be around that because it's infectious. That's the kind of teammate I want to play with. That's the kind of leader I want to play with. And yeah, he's right. Like one's not enough. Like I won my second one last year and I won a third. Like it's addicting, dude. Once you get the first one, it just, you want the next one more.
You guys are coming off a year where all the metrics and stats are screaming this is one of the best modern defenses we've seen in a while. Where do you think you guys can get better?
Yeah, I think just being more consistent. I think we did a great job first half of the year. I think our numbers were like historically elite to where it's like blowing, like you said, metrics and records out of the water. And then there was a little bit of drop just through the dog days of the season, middle, second, third, towards the end of the second, third. So just having a little bit of that and probably just finishing possessions with rebounds. Sometimes we play small, so carving out some space in that end and then allowed us to get out and run. Transition and rebounding, probably those two things. But, I'm really nitpicking. I think we do a pretty good job.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, AC.
Thanks, guys.
Off yesterday. What are you seeing from the guys after getting 2 games worth of touch points and getting a chance to get everybody in here today?
Yep, good practice today. We got up and down, had a physical practice, and got back to bumping a little bit. And I thought took a step forward again, just continuing to progress through the preseason here.
What have you seen from Isaiah Joe? He's a great shooter already, but with a guy like that, when he had the offseason in the summer, and he's a guy that can shoot as well as he can, what do you see from him in terms of steps forward in a guy like him?
Yeah, he's continued to make growth or steps of growth over his time here. He from his first year to his second year became significantly more impactful defensively, and then 2 years ago he was pretty high turnover rate for a guy that handles as little as he does when he put the ball on the floor. And last season he cut that in half. It went from like a 10% turnover rate down to like 5, which is really clean, for a player that's as efficient as he is with the shooting. And so he continues to, improve his body, improve his game. He knows who he is, and his game, the foundation of his game is not going to change, but he continues to tighten the edges a little bit.
Small sample size this preseason so far, but what's been your assessment of Ooze?
It's been good. He's got really good size. He's still one of our youngest players because of how young he was when he came in. He's made significant steps with his body, with his game. He's much more confident now than he's ever been, especially offensively. He's shooting the ball when he's open. He's playing with more force on the catches. He's always had good sense for the game, but he's played good minutes so far, and had good minutes in practice as well.
What have you seen so far from Brooks Barnes-Essen?
Similar to what I said the other night, I think he's displayed, a nice baseline of competitiveness and physicality, and hard playing, toughness. And he's got a good sense for the game. He plays the right way and has good instincts on offense as well. But fundamentally, he's pretty far off of where I think he'll be by the end of the year. He's really going to grow significantly with a lot more reps, and as the game slows down for him. So I think, when we check in at the end of the season, he'll have come a long way fundamentally, which is normal for a first-year player. And that's exciting, because he's obviously got stuff that already impacts the game and can impact the game, but he also can get a lot better.
During his rookie introductory press conference, he cited guys like Lou and AC as guys from the blue in 2 ways that you can sort of mold this game after. Do you see any similarities between those guys and him?
I mean, like broadly, because of the competitiveness and hard playing nature, but everybody's different. And he's got, huge, shoulders and size. I think he can guard bigger guys because of the physical strength and his length. He's got long arms. So I think he's got some versatility on that end of the floor. He also moves his feet very well. He definitely, like I said, needs to learn the pictures to go along with that. But I wouldn't compare him 1-to-1 to anybody, nor would I with any player. But he's definitely got the competitive toughness that you look for in guys.
I know you guys are focused on yourself during preseason, but if you go up against a team twice like you are against Charlotte tomorrow, is there any benefit in that with this group entry?
I mean, maybe a little bit just in terms of some carryover of tendencies and stuff like that, but not really, to be honest with you. I mean, we're really focused on ourselves. We always are, but we certainly are more in the preseason, and so we're just using the games to try to, inch forward in every way possible. But we're not overly focused on the opponents at this point.
Anybody else?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.